Tonight, the MAGA base is in shambles over an apparent Trump administration cover-up of the Epstein client list. Also, rapper Cardi B appears to be dumped by NFL wide receiver Stefon. Cassie Ventura looks like she's headed to court and is being sued by a former freak-off Escort. And Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott is being praised for the low deletion rate currently in the city of Baltimore. Is he a leader or is he a loser? We're going to discuss all that and more on episode number 127 of Up to Speed with Trip Simpson.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Up to Speed with Trip Simpson. I am your host, Trip Simpson, in the building.
And you gonna get off his corners? You gonna leave his people be? Or you the one that's gonna find yourself a new plug?
You don't mean that shit?
The fuck I don't. I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just because you don't like the way another nigga talk. Gotcha, bitch.
All right. Now, before we get this live stream started, first and foremost, you know we got to handle business. Let's get it.
Family moving up in the business. I know you're going to look after family.
What family you talking about, Ice?
Fuck, I look invisible, nigga.
That's right. I am not invisible, so do me a favor. If you're watching live on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Tap that notification bell and select all. Now, let's go ahead and get into this, man. I got a lot I want to talk about tonight. I've been gone for a little while. Y'all know I've been on this 75-day challenge. And I've been getting it, man. I've been working out 2-3 times a day. You know what I mean? No alcohol, strict diet, reading hella books. You know what I mean? So I'm getting my mind right. You know, I'm sacrificing my whole summer. Other than that, you know what I'm saying? I just been out of town making moves, trying to handle business. So, you know, haven't really had no time to put into the channel, but that's all changing now. I'm back. Hopefully I can get back here 2 to 3 times a week per usual. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into tonight's topics. All right. Now, first, we got this whole Cardi B and Stefon situation. That's a very, very hot topic right now. Now, apparently, the rumors are that Cardi B and Stefon Diggs have parted ways as both personalities have taken any traces of their short-lived relationship off of all social media platforms. All right? And this is pretty much what's sparking the rumors of their breakup. Now, there's a lot of speculation and claims going on about how and why they have apparently broken up. None of it appears to be ironclad truth. I mean, I haven't seen any solid receipts, but you know what they say. Where there's smoke, there is definitely fire. So without wasting any more time, I want to play this quick video I ran into on Instagram from this page. I can't remember the name, but I'll whenever I pull it up, I'll give credit. But anyway, This young lady gives a breakdown of all the rumors surrounding this particular story. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why am I talking about rumors? We'll get into that because there's a point that needs to be made. There is a point that needs to be made as to why Cardi B is breaking up with Stefon Diggs. But anyway, let's get into this video so we can get a quick little background of how these rumors got off the ground. All right, let's get it.
And by now, we all know that Cardi has cleaned her Instagram.
Second, get this going.
Of Stefon, but we don't know why, right? I found some things that he said, and I found some things that she said, and let's just get into it. So, according to Celeb Scoop, allegedly, Stefon said he could not be with Cardi because of her BBL. End quote. It was tough. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Her BBL had a smell that was unbearable. I tried to be understanding, but it affected everything.
Now, a quick disclaimer. I don't know if that is actually true. I cannot find any interview where Stefon Diggs actually said that. I can't find any interview where Stefon Diggs actually said that. So until we find an actual interview where he said that, we're gonna say that this is all alleged. Okay? He allegedly said these things. All right, let's get back to it.
Now, we do know that Cardi has a BBL, and we have heard that these are side effects of BBLs. But do we think that this is true? So this is a big alleged. According to Music Based Africa, there's only like 2 things that I feel are true in this post right here. But they're saying that she wrapped up an emotional live, which I do believe she had gone live. I have not seen one, but I said she would. And also that she deleted the photos of Stefon from her Instagram page. But everything else is saying that she spent time with him. She went to the bathroom. She came back. He was texting another woman to meet up with him later. And then she said she can't believe she left one unfaithful man to be with one that's even worse. Now, I have heard Stefon's teammates say that he is a mess, right? They would not trust him with their sisters. So I'm not saying the man can't change, and I'm not saying this is even true, but we've got to hear some more about it, allegedly. So since Offset has gone live, right, and he was rapping some lyrics from one of his songs, and people are speculating that it is about the alleged breakup with Cardi and Stefon. He said right here, my life has none to do with anybody, LOL. And then down here, he went on to say that whatever Tia Kemp said, that was like an old video or something. But he said that what he was talking about had nothing to do with Cardi and Stefon. So basically, he's not celebrating. But in my mind, I don't think that's too off. But I think this has since been deleted. Since we're talking about things that have been deleted, we're going to go to love and hip hop.
All right. So there's that, right? There is that. Now, whether or not those rumors are true, that still remains a mystery, okay? But what isn't a mystery is that the wall is undefeated and winter is definitely coming. Now, like I said earlier, you might ask, how is this gossip relevant and why are you even discussing it, Trip? Why is this relevant? Well, this is relevant because it is a direct example of how women ruin their lives and their families thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Okay, Cardi B literally went from number 1 on Offset's roster to number 4 on Stefon Diggs' roster. Okay, granted, Offset was a cheating dog. All right, Offset was definitely a cheating dog. But so is Stefon Diggs. In fact, Stefon Diggs has a far worse reputation than Offset does. I mean, this nigga literally just had a baby last August with Future and Bow Wow's ex-baby mama. This is his third baby mama with his third child. Matter of fact, it's also rumored that he's got another baby that was just born in May, I think, by some other random IG girl. So that's 4 babies with 4 baby mamas. And y'all said this was an upgrade over Offset. And by y'all, I'm speaking about the strong independent queens and the bitter baby mama brigade. The bitter baby mama brigade. Say that shit 5 times. All right, now look. Y'all swore up and down. All right, y'all swore up and down that Cardi would beat the wall and defy all the laws of relationship gravity and end up with a better man than who she was married to. But I'm here to tell you, it'll never happen, ladies. It'll never happen. This woman has 3 goddamn kids by Offset. Now, could she find a new husband? Sure. But she'd have to downgrade like Nicki Minaj. There is no man worth more, equal to, or slightly less than Offset that would ever take her seriously and wife her up at this point. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'd go out on a limb and say that any man over 6 feet tall, in good shape, with a decent credit score and earns upwards of $150,000 a year wouldn't wife Cardi up if they got the opportunity to. Now, why is that? Because a real man of integrity, number one, would never wipe up a former prostitute. That's not happening. And number two, a real man ain't taking on all that baggage and baby daddy drama. So that would leave her with only 2 options: a broke, physically attractive Chad, or an older, shorter, out of shape guy, or a combination of the 3 who has money. And if she takes either of those options, she automatically loses to Offset in the court of public opinion, because his options are still unlimited. Okay? Offset's options are unlimited, unlimited, especially if he gets that goddamn spousal support. And yes, I'm pulling for you, Offset. Hopefully you get that child support. But yeah, I mean, let's think about this though. Offset is 33 years old. By most people's standards, he is considered rich and is in fairly great shape. Okay, he wins hands down. Cardi's got to either get back with him or just take the L and move on. Either way, there's no possible way she comes out of this situation on top of Offset. There's no way. Shout out to Kirk Keys in the building. Says, nah, that's Trayvon, I believe, with Future and Bow Wow. Oh, well, I mean, still, Stefon Diggs got baby mamas out the wazoo out here, and he's got another baby that was born. Maybe I got him confused with his bro. Good looking, though. Good looking. But anyway, I mean, but everybody, I mean, listen, they all say that Stefon Diggs is not the kind of guy that you want dating your sister. All right? That's what they say. Shout out to Kirk, though. Now, speaking of 304s taking L's, Cassie is now on the chopping block, and I don't think she'll get out of this with that $20 million she finessed off Diddy. I don't think she got out of it. Now, apparently, one of the escorts that she regularly solicited for the freak-offs is suing her and Diddy. All right? And it appears as if this guy might just have a case. All right? So real quick, I want to go to this article real quick so we can get some the backstory on this, and then we'll get into a couple videos. All right. So let's get to that article. All right, can y'all see that? All right, let's read this article real quick. All right. So it says, Diddy and Cassie hit with fresh scandal as Escort claims he was drugged and left with an STD. All right. One of Sean Diddy Combs' alleged male escorts in his freak-offs has sued the rapper and his ex, Cassandra Cassie Ventura. The escort, Clayton Howard, made a number of wild claims in the suit, including accusations that Cassie gave him an STD and aborted his child without his consent. Howard also alleges that he was drugged, manipulated, and traumatized by Diddy and Cassie. He is now seeking compensation for psychological injury and several other forms of trauma he experienced while working for the duo. The rapper is still embroiled in several civil suits and has now been hit with another, this time from a male escort named Clayton Howard. In the suit, which also names Cassie, Diddy's former girlfriend, Howard accused the singer of giving him an STD, which he seemingly believes was contracted during the freak-offs he had with the duo, per TMZ. He also made the wild claim that Cassie got pregnant by him during one of these encounters. All right, so there we have it. All right. So Cassie is now being sued by one of the escorts, and this is all her fault because she drugged this guy into this. All right. She drugged him into this, and she put his name on blast, gave his name to the feds, and put him out there. So, I guess he's just defending himself. But anyways, what I want to do is I want to play a couple of videos that he posted, basically telling his side of the story. And shout out to Cosby. Cosby says, "What's the blast?" He says, he a sex worker who hitting raw and goofy. Yeah, he is. But at the same time, if she burnt him, and they subject him to all this crazy stuff during their freak-offs, he has a case. If it was the other way around, and a sex worker was accusing Diddy of mentally scarring her, they would take the case seriously. So why not take this case seriously? Why not take it seriously? All right, but anyway, we're going to get into what he has to say. Let's do that real quick. Let's see what he's talking about. So here we go.
Okay, hey, good morning. As you can see, I'm about to do my morning run. So this is just a quick PSA, and I want to say a warning to everyone out there who is misquoting that lawsuit to make it seem as though the Cassie is being sued because she aborted a child without my consent. I want to warn you that to...
Hey, look, off the break, this man ain't playing. This man is not playing. Let's go.
Post a statement that is the situation could be considerable as liable and slander. And I'm going to tell you why. Because nowhere in that lawsuit does it say that Cassie had an abortion without my consent. The exact wordage, what it says, is that Cassie had an abortion and I disappeared for several months and she had an abortion. And then in the following sentence, it explains that even though she had an abortion, she continued to sleep with me, forgive me, it's a little early, for years. Now, the reason I mention that is not to embarrass Cassie. Again, I've explained to the general public that for almost a year, I tried to quietly work behind the scenes with Cassie. The truth of the matter is this, ladies who want to hate on me, people who want to claim I have no victimhood. I said this to you yesterday, I'm going to say it again. Cassandra Ventura did this to herself. She's a pathological liar. She lied through her teeth to try to avoid the criminality of the situation that she was in with Puffin. Neither one of them were co-conspirators. They were just a freaky couple into freaky stuff that created this grand scheme to manipulate male escorts throughout the states. And they did this for over a decade. So now, Cassie should not have been the government's star witness. Cassie should have been a co-conspirator. But the government, these 6 white women prosecutors, and I don't say this because I think they're racist. I believe that the unity of their ethnicity created a very strong feministic bond with Cassie and the women who were abused in this case. And so they, as women, not racist, decided to use their feminist stance to prosecute Diddy as a DV offender instead of as a RICO offender.
Now, you know what's crazy in all of this? And just real quick, we'll get back to the video. What's crazy to me is, even though there's 100% proof that Cassie was basically an accomplice in all of these freak-offs, people are now victim shaming Clayton Howard, who's the gentleman speaking right now, the former escort, and trying to discount his claims, even though they seem completely valid. It just goes to show you like how much of a double standard there is in the court of public opinion. Okay? Double standard. Total double standard. Cassie gets to be the victim even though she was the accomplice, but he doesn't get to be the victim even though he was trafficked by both Cassie and Diddy, and they burnt him. They burnt him. So yeah, pay this man his money. Let's go.
And they tried to incorporate his domestic violence to make them RICO-worthy offenses. That was wrong. Don't be mad at me, Me Too, because I'm exposing Cassie to be a liar. You should be mad at the U.S. Attorney's Office for wasting millions of your taxpayer dollars to prosecute a man for a lie. People, I'm not trying to embarrass Cassie, people. I contacted Douglas Wigmore for months. I may not agree with Tyrone Blackburn. I may not think he's the most ethical attorney, but he did reach out to Cassandra Ventura several times and allow them the opportunity to mediate this before it hit the general public. See, people, Cassie wants you all to support her as a victim, as a woman who is offended. Now, because of your support, Diddy immediately settled out her lawsuit. Don't support her with a lie. Don't allow your arrogance and your need to just be right Me Too supporters out there to continue to champion a woman who lied to you. Cassie, women like Cassie, are going to destroy the Me Too movement. Because see, what they do is they're criminals who use the toxicity in their relationships, to avoid criminal liability. This is what Cassie did. Do not misquote me. I don't want to have to sue you, World Star, or anyone else who misquotes me to say that Cassie is being sued because she aborted a child without my consent. People, Cassie wasn't my girl. She was Diddy's girl. I didn't have no damn consent if she got pregnant. The only reason it's mentioned is to show you that even though this woman was impregnated by me, people, and I disappeared for almost a year, the second I got out of jail, because people, I was in jail, I did a parole violation. So when I got out, I was messed up. I needed money. This is why I called Cassie, people, because I was kind of financially trapped in this situation because I needed their resources. And they would manipulate the hell out of me. Cassie would promise me 20, 30 grand and then give me 5 or 6 when I got to Miami. After I impregnated her, I managed to call her on one of her numbers when I got out of prison. She flew from LA to New York on her own with Diddy to come talk to me and tell me about the pregnancy. She cried in my face in the Gramercy Park Hotel. Diddy was right there. She told me how much she wanted to keep the baby. She had no kids, but she didn't know what happened to me. She told me I should have called from Rikers Island. People, I'm gonna be honest, I was embarrassed. At this time, I knew who they was, and I don't know why I was embarrassed telling Diddy I was in jail. Like, I think about it now like I was an idiot. But the truth is, I was embarrassed. You know, I didn't want to tell them that I was sitting on Rikers Island. I didn't want them to think that I needed them, and I was...
So there we have it. I mean, goes on and on and on. But the bottom line is, this is Guy Fallon Shoot. Let me see. Got another video of him. But y'all get the point, man. Y'all get the point. I mean, this guy, he seems like he's got a legit claim, and I really don't see a way that Cassie or Diddy come out of this unscathed, especially Cassie. All right? She didn't play her hand very well. See, she should have took her $20 million bag and rode off into the goddamn sunset. But instead, she chose to cooperate with the feds, even though she signed it in an NDA with Puff. Now, it appears as if all her shit is aired out and is public knowledge at this point. And you could say the same thing for Puff. I mean, if he would have just took his chances and fought Cassie's lawsuit in court, he'd be up $20 million right now and possibly not even on trial for any of this foolishness in the first place. I mean, bottom line, this trial was a joke and was, in my opinion, only taking place to put Puffy in his place and publicly embarrass him. All right, and don't get it twisted. I'm not caping for Puff. All right, because I definitely believe he's got some serious skeletons in his closet, in addition to those zesty freak-offs. I definitely think he's done some dirt that he should pay for. But this is a sham trial with Cassie as a star witness, and an all-around total failure for the feds. All right, total failure. Now, I want to get into this whole Trump situation. All right, I definitely want to get into this Trump situation. I want to address the Trump situation with the Epstein client list, because a lot of people have been asking me my thoughts and opinions on this, and as well as a few other political issues that have come up recently in regards to the Trump administration. First off, I definitely believe that this is a cover-up. Okay, Ray Charles could see the bullshit coming out of the DOJ and the FBI at this point. And to be honest, I'm really not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, this just pretty much stamps what a lot of us on the America First or the MAGA crowd have been complaining about for years. And what is that exactly? We've been complaining that this country is pretty much owned by Mossad.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
Okay. We know who's running the show. Now, I was on the fence. I was on the fence for a little while, hoping Uncle Donnie wasn't compromised in that regard. But at this point, I'm about 95% sure that he is at this point. If you just take a deep dive into many of his political appointees, his pardons, and as well as his donors, it all points back to one particular country in the Middle East.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
All right, so basically, Epstein was Mossad intelligence, and he used his pedo trafficking ring to blackmail damn near the entire U.S. government on behalf of Mossad. And if you don't know what Mossad is, go look it up. And honestly, I'm not even saying that Trump is on the client list. Okay? Honestly, I think if he was, I think it would have been public knowledge by now. Because I don't see the Democrats sitting on that information through the 2024 presidential campaign. I don't see them sitting on that. But either way, they got something on Trump, and Bibi Netanyahu's got him in the palm of his hands like a goddamn sock bucket. Now, with that being said, I still don't regret my vote for Trump. Why? Because regardless of his situationship with Israel, I still wouldn't have wanted Kamala Harris or Joe Biden running the country further into the ground than they've already took it. All right, I'm still on board with a lot of the policies that the Trump administration is implementing and attempting to implement 100%. But I'd be a liar if I tried to act like for 1 minute that he isn't actively ruining everything he built during his 2023-2024 run to the White House. Okay, that shit was epic. So I'd be a liar if I to say that he is not ruining that as we speak. All right. So what I want to do real quick, let's get to this clip from earlier. All right. This is a clip of Pam Bondi and Trump at a press conference earlier, and they get questioned about the Epstein client list, right? And they also get questioned about the videotape of Epstein in his cell. Now, this went horribly wrong, and it's definitely not a good look for the Trump administration. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so here's Bondi and Trump.
Worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question at a time like this where we're having...
Yeah, so, I mean, total deflection by President Trump. And I think it is at this moment right here where he pretty much lost at least half his base. I think he lost him. There's no getting around it at this point. Granted, he lost a significant portion of his base with the recent bombings in Iran. But I think this one right here took the cake. This is at least 50% of his base out the window, if not more. I'm being generous with 50%, but in actuality, it's probably more like 70, 75. Probably more like 70, 75. All right, let's go.
Having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February.
Now, I want y'all to listen to this. This is going to be one of the most pitiful explanations I have ever heard in my life. And this woman is supposed to be a seasoned attorney. And this is going to be her explanation for the over 1 minute missing portion of the alleged Epstein self-deletion tape.
I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
That's not what she said. She said the client list was sitting on her desk. That's what she said. Now she's trying to say what she meant to say. You had months to say what you meant to say. You, as a matter of fact, right after that press conference, you could have doubled back and said, hey guys, hold up. I meant to say this or I meant to say that. But you didn't do that. Now, after the fact, you're saying, oh, well, you meant to say, nah, nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. This is a major L. Let's go.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
So there we go. Pitiful. Now, what's crazy to me is that they're trying to basically say he had no clients and he killed himself, right? So with the had no clients thing, right? And he wasn't blackmailing anyone. So what about the part in the reports where it says his whole house was bugged and there were surveillance cameras everywhere? Now, why would somebody who's trafficking young girls have hidden cameras and wiretaps everywhere in their house if they weren't trying to blackmail anyone? Do you think he was trying to blackmail himself? Plus, everybody's on record for saying that he did have a client list. Herself, she said that he had a client list. So the fact that they're trying to just do this total about face and try to hit us with the Men in Black pen and have us just all forget about everything we knew prior to this point is crazy. So I don't see how anyone in their right mind could fall for this. I don't see how. Now, one positive thing out of all of this, though, is the amount of people in the America First and MAGA movement who have refused to drink the Kool-Aid. Okay? There's a ton of people in the movement who have refused to drink the Kool-Aid and are basically calling a spade a spade. And what I want to do real quick, I want to get to that, right? Because most of the core America First voices that you're going to see on Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, nobody's buying this shit. All right? I want to start off with this tweet from Nick Fuentes. I know a lot of you people, I know a lot of y'all hate Nick Fuentes because he says some racy things, but you got to respect the man's courage. He says what's on his mind. So anyway, Nick says, the Epstein cover-up is exactly the kind of brazen, insulting lie and disgusting corruption that typifies our regime. It's exactly the kind of thing that Trump was elected to change in 2016. He's sadly just like the rest of them. The damage to his legacy is irreparable. Now, real quick, I want to play a video from his live stream the other night where this is quite a long video, so bear with me. But the man is cooking. He's cooking.
This is literally the opposite.
You cannot really argue with any of the points that this man is making. Personal feelings about Nick Fuentes aside, he's spot on. Let's get it.
Of what Trump supporters voted for. It's the opposite. This is not only not disclosure, this is a cover-up. It's the opposite. Do you understand? It's not like he said he would release it, but he didn't. No. He said there would be full disclosure. Now they're lying about it and covering it up. They're actually burying it. They're making it less accessible than before. Before, you could say it's not open and shut. Before, you could say there's speculation. Now the Department of Justice is saying outright, directly, he killed himself. He had no client list. He wasn't engaged in blackmail. There are no further investigations and no further disclosure is appropriate. Case closed. End of the road. It's done. It goes into the archive forever. That's it. They're burying the story. And we know that they're lying, obviously, but let's just run through it really quickly. Let's just go through some of the evidence. The former U.S. Attorney General Acosta said, this goes back to 2008, Epstein is intelligence. Epstein was charged 15 years ago for the first time. Back in 2005, he was accused of procuring minors for the purpose of prostitution and for running a prostitution ring. That is a plea deal. He pled to those charges. He got a sweetheart deal from the DOJ, an extraordinarily lenient sentence for what he was accused of, an extraordinarily lenient charge for what he was accused of. When asked why that is, the Attorney General said, "I was told he is intelligence." He got his money from Les Wexner and the Bronfman family from the Mega Group. These are both Israeli operatives. It's literally a group of Jewish billionaires that support pro-Jewish education, pro-Jewish causes, and of course, pro-Israel foreign policy in the United States. Epstein, when they investigated his island, when they investigated his Manhattan apartment, they found everywhere recording equipment, cameras, microphones. Literally, the entire residence was bugged. This was in their search of the place. There's photographs of it, photos of tapes and recording equipment that is abnormal. His accusers testified. They said he recorded every interaction, recorded all the sex. They testified the whole place was bugged with cameras, microphones. He recorded all of it. And he was charged not once, but twice with sex trafficking. That's what he was doing. He was accused, charged, and convicted by the federal government of soliciting minors through his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, under 18 women, for the purpose of having sex with powerful men that he flew to his island and that he hosted at private parties at his various residences on his private jet. He hosted these powerful people for sex and recorded them. And even according to our own Department of Justice, he was involved with intelligence.
But now they're trying to turn around and tell us that none of this stuff exists. Not a good look for Trump. I'm going to let Nick go ahead and cook, though.
And now the Department of Justice is telling us that's not real. They're telling us none of it was real. He killed himself. There's no list. All the people that had sex in his apartment that almost certainly, Epstein has tapes of powerful people having sex with minors. He got convicted of this. He's trafficking minors for sex with powerful people in his residence where there's cameras and microphones everywhere. There's photos of it. There's testimony about it. But they say there is no blackmail ring. There's no list of people that were involved in this. And as a result of this, there's no one to investigate, nobody else to charge, nothing else to report. It's over. By definition, this is a cover-up.
Let's let him cook.
It's not only not transparency, this is a cover-up. They're burying the story. And it's almost a brazen and shocking amount of dishonesty. It would be one thing if, for one reason or another, they said they wouldn't investigate further. It would be one thing if they never said anything about it again. We might assume or infer that something has gone terribly wrong, but they are now lying to our faces and covering up the story. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, who have all said, by the way, that Israel's our closest ally. Pam Bondi comes from the state of Florida. She worked for Ron DeSantis. Pam Bondi said the biggest problem under the Biden administration was anti-Semitism. Dan Bongino said he's motivated every day to fight for Israel. He said Israel's the most special cause. He denied Epstein had anything to do with Israel. He said it's some Middle Eastern intelligence agency. Brought to you by these people. And let's go a little further into this cover-up. Of course, it goes without saying that not only was Jeffrey Epstein running a blackmail ring based on the evidence, but he was running a blackmail ring most likely for the Israelis. We know that again because he got his fortune and his connections through a group of Jewish billionaires. It was called the Mega Group, and it was a group of something like 100 Jewish billionaires and financiers. They were all Jewish. That is how they self-identified. That was the mission statement of the group. They contributed to Jewish education, pro-Jewish activism, pro-Israel activism. They were deeply involved with the Israeli government. Epstein was close to Les Wexner, who's the founder of a number of fashion brands. He runs the state of Ohio politically. Les Wexner's deeply in bed with the Israeli government, prominent Jew. Jeffrey Epstein is Jewish, and Jeffrey Epstein was able to source his money and his connections from this outfit. His girlfriend and accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was the daughter of Mossad super spy Robert Maxwell. So his number one accomplice that was grooming the underage women into the sex trafficking blackmail ring, she was the daughter of a Mossad agent, of a Mossad Israeli super spy. It goes without saying that he had some kind of Israeli connection. Now, it really makes me think. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, two super pro-Israel activists. Dan Bongino, who is at Fox News, run by the pro-Israel friend of Netanyahu, Rupert Murdoch. Dan Bongino, who is a partner and investor in Rumble, which is owned by pro-Israel people like Peter Thiel, like J.D. Vance, which is in bed with Locals, which was created by Dave Rubin and a Jew he knew from Hebrew University. Why, oh why, would the super Zionists Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi being from the state of Florida, which is run by Jews, why would they bury the story of the Israeli spy running a blackmail ring known as Jeffrey Epstein? The timing is interesting too, isn't it? They didn't choose to reveal that they're covering up the story in January when Trump was inaugurated, not in February when they failed to disclose any additional information, not a week later when they said and promised that they would reveal more information. They told us that the Jeffrey Epstein story was over the day before Bibi Netanyahu visited the White House for the third time to present Donald Trump with his nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. It's really a coincidence, isn't it? It's a lot of coincidences. So Pam Bondi, the pro-Israel Attorney General, Dan Bongino, the pro-Israel Deputy Director of the FBI, which is under the DOJ, they buried the story of Jeffrey Epstein, the Mossad blackmail ring organizer, the day before Bibi Netanyahu visits the White House on July 7th, otherwise known as 7/7/2025, and covered up the story of the pro-Israel blackmail organizer Jeffrey Epstein the same day that Netanyahu visited the White House for the third time after bombing Iran. That's crazy. Crazy. Really makes you think, doesn't it? No one else will report this because nobody else knows. Nobody else knows. By the way, this is why they want you to not look into these matters. And they're telling you that right now. I see many of the Trump supporters saying, don't talk too much about Epstein. Focus on deportations. Don't talk about the Israeli blackmail operation that controls our government. Focus on deportations, which are not happening, by the way. Don't talk about bombing Iran. Stephen Miller doesn't care about bombing Iran, except for when he does. And he goes on Fox News and sounds more jingoistic than Mark Levin. He's focused on mass deportations, and you should be too. The Talmud? What's that? That's something low IQ anti-Semites talk about. About Lubavitch? What's that? That's something low IQ anti-Semites talk about. The Holocaust, 9/11, Jeff Epstein? That's something low IQ anti-Semites talk about. Just shut up, trust the plan, watch more videos of black people fighting at Chuck E. Cheese.
I mean, that's right. That is exactly what the Kool-Aid drinking neocon conservatives are saying right now as we speak on Twitter. They're saying, move on from the Epstein files. Don't focus on that con. Let's focus on immigration. I mean, right now, there is a line literally being drawn in the sand, and I love it. I love being on this side of politics because there's actually people here who care about what the hell is going on. It's It's not all about the guy you like and the guy I like. It's about what's right for the country. I got a Trump hat sitting right here. I voted for Trump. And I don't feel bad about it. But at the same time, bro, if he's not going to deliver on the things he said he was going to deliver, then he got to get up out of there too. I'm not loyal to no politician. You should never be loyal to a politician or loyal to a political party. You should be loyal to the truth. And if they can't kick the truth in the Trump administration, then so be it. So be it. Shout out to all the conservatives, man. I mean, they are stepping up and they are calling this bullshit out. Even Glenn Beck. Let's go to Glenn Beck. Even Glenn Beck had a backbone in this situation. Let's go to Glenn Beck's Twitter. Glenn Beck says, the Epstein evidence list isn't just damning, it's clarifying. No matter what you believe about Epstein's past or fate, 5 conclusions can be logically drawn from the material seized. This thread is for anyone who cares about the truth. Now let's get into it. He then goes on to write, number 2, this was not a small or isolated operation. Dozens of devices, thousands of photos, labeled photo albums, surveillance tapes, blueprints, foreign passports. This was one man with a dark secret. This was infrastructure, logistics, coordination, a system. There's a massive digital footprints, hundreds of hard drives, USBs, CDs, back servers, some labeled with things like a new girl pics, book 4, travel logs, employee directions, videotapes. Why hasn't this been fully disclosed to the public? Number 4, intelligence involvement isn't a stretch. An Austrian passport with Epstein's face, honey trap style setups, international mobility, too much precision, too much reach, too many decades undetected. This isn't wild theory. It's a logical hypothesis. All right, so this is Glenn Beck saying that there's definitely speculation of blackmail here. To throw out that Epstein wasn't blackmailing people is just absurd. It's absurd. And it's to the point where even Glenn Beck, the guy who cried and begged for citizenship to Israel, is calling out this foolishness. This guy literally was on his show, begged and cried and asked for citizenship to Israel, now has to call this out. That's how bad this is. Let's continue though. Number 5, the system's silence is itself evidence. If anyone else had even 1/10 of this material, underage photos, coded file names, flight logs, they'd be under a prison. But here, crickets. No prosecutions, no answers. That's the real scandal. Our institutions are on trial. This is bigger than Epstein. This is about media complicity. Justice deferred, power protected, truth buried. Until this case is fully revealed, every elite institution carries a stench they can't wash off. To dismiss this conspiracy is to admit that you no longer believe in accountability. The truth about Epstein is not morbid curiosity. It's a civic test. And every day we fail to demand answers, we normalize elite immunity. Bro, this man is cooking. I have never heard Glenn Beck or seen Glenn Beck cook like this. Let's go. Number 8, if we don't confront what's in those files, we've declared the truth in America is now negotiable. That justice is a luxury of the unimportant. That power is a shield for the perverse. Number 9, the Epstein case isn't over. It's the Rosetta Stone of public trust. And if we don't get to the bottom of it, we'll never restore what's already been lost. Glenn Beck is cooking. Okay? Glenn Beck is cooking, and he's cooking the Trump administration. All right? So what you're witnessing in real time are actual, the people that you called the cult, right? Those of us who were Trump supporters. You called us a cult. This doesn't look like a cult to me. This looks like people who actually care about the country, who want to see the politicians do the right thing. This ain't like the Democrat Party, where you motherfuckers just stick your head in the sand while the Democrats do any and everything to tear the country apart. When the Trump administration goes slightly off task, the base is there to check him. You do not get that on the left side of the aisle. They don't check their politicians. That's why in Biden's last year, you had grown men urinating in bathrooms with little girls in there. That's why you had grown men competing against women in sports. Because you don't check your politicians on the left. On the right, that's what happens. Now, not everybody on the right. Of course, there's some Kool-Aid drinkers. But the majority of the base is not rocking, okay? They not rocking. Let's go. Let's go to, I got another tweet here by a lady named Trisha Hope. Let's go to Trisha Hope. All right, Trisha Hope. She's with the national delegate of Texas, all right? She says, I have been to 42 Trump rallies. After the first impeachment, I drove to D.C. and spent 2 weeks walking the halls of Congress to encourage Republicans to support President Trump. I sat in the hearings and I supported Trump. I was there the night he was acquitted. After the 2020 election was stolen, I went to see 2,000 Mules. I was livid at the lack of action. I contacted Dinesh D'Souza and told them I wanted to deliver copies to the Republican members of Congress. They donated 200 copies. I went with a team of 4 to DC and personally hand-delivered each one. When it became clear J6 was a setup, I started helping J6ers. I met with members of Congress on their behalf. I was able to get a donation of 435 American Gulag Chronicle books to deliver to Congress. Myself and a team organized by Trumptarian delivered 535 copies to every single member of the House and Senate. I worked the last 3.5 years to help free J6ers. I organized Trump events. I became a state delegate and then a national delegate. I recently made a donation to the Smithsonian in honor of J6ers. I say all of that to tell you I am done. Okay, she says President Trump's lack of concern for the Epstein victims is a callous response to the reporter's question and ends my relationship with him. I will not support a man that denies justice to the victims, who in this case are children, and mocks the question. This is the accountability of the right. Let's go to the Hodge twins post, right? The Hodge twins, very popular right-wing influencers. All right, of course. So they posted the video with Pam Bondi, and Trump. Let's look at some of the comments here. All right. Look at the comments here. Pam Bondi's deflection is insulting. No one's asking for anything graphic. We're just asking for justice. All right. Another person says they can sigh up the hell out of us the way they have been. I don't care. However, when it comes to the children, don't F around with that. Don't make light of it. Don't disregard it. People are pissed. Someone else says, I've never been more disgusted with someone that I voted for. Like, men R-wording children is somehow a effing distraction to him. People are pissed. People are pissed. I could go through the comments all day. You can go on Twitter and you can see this stuff for yourself. Let's go to Instagram. All right? Let's go to Instagram. Give me a second. All right, let's go to the right-wing angel, right? The right-wing angel, popular conservative influencer on Instagram. Look at the comments here. All right, this is a pro-Trump page. Look at the comments. A guilty conscience needs no accuser. All right, it says, congratulations, Trump. You lost the support of a ton of your voters who have defended you vehemently over the years. What a disgraceful day. Also, you are now sending more weapons to Ukraine. This is a bad week for MAGA. Unfortunately, I agree with all these comments. Trump is 110% wrong on this. I'm a 3-time Trump voter too. So disappointed. Look at all this. Promises made, promises broken. Keep asking, definitely did not deliver. This response was weak. Like, you go through this whole thing. It's all, but this is the cult you said we have. Let's go to Officer Tatum. Everybody knows Officer Tatum, right? Officer Tatum posted a whatchamacallit on this. We didn't take it down. Let me go to my phone and see if it's still on my phone. But yeah, Tatum posted a whatchamacallit, like a vote, like a poll. He posted a poll on this. Okay, yeah, so look. Out of 19,168 responses, you can't see it on this because it's on the computer. You can't see it on the desktop. But I'm looking at it on my phone. All right? See if y'all can see that. Out of 19,168 responses, all right, what are y'all's thoughts on this video? 81% said, I'm disappointed in Trump and Pam Bondi. 13% said Trump is right. 6% said, I don't care. So this is out of damn near 20,000 people. Over 80% do not agree. Over 80% do not agree. But y'all claim that MAGA is a cult. And as you can see, it clearly isn't. It clearly isn't. Right? Let me get this off the screen. So, I mean, it's clear. That's the difference between us on this side and those of you on the left. As I said, on the left, y'all meat ride anything the Democrats tell y'all to do with no buck back. Any dumbass policy they come up with, you niggas meat ride it till the wheels fall off. So what does that tell you? That tells me that we're doing something right on this side. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's not about whose party is better. It's about what's better for America. And that's going to be my stance no matter what. I mean, Trump's campaign catered towards my stance, so I made the conscious decision to vote for him. Has he met all of my expectations so far? Absolutely not. But I can say for the most part, especially domestically, he's on par with what I voted for. Okay, so yeah, I mean, salute to all those on the America First side who've been keeping it a buck, you know what I mean, and not drinking the Kool-Aid, because that's pretty much where I stand at this point, right? I don't necessarily hate President Trump. I just see that he's compromised for Israel. It is what it is. We see who controls it.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
And it is what it is. I mean, and to be perfectly honest, it's not like it would be a difference if Kamala Harris was the president. Kamala Harris is literally married to a Zionist.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
So if you don't think she would have folded on the Epstein shit, which the Biden administration already did, they already folded on it. But if you don't think she would have folded to Iran, folded on the Iran war and not bombed Iran and not done any of this stuff, you got to be crazy, right? So then you got to weigh your options, right? They both fold to Israel. But at least with Trump, he's not going to let the country go straight to hell. That's all I can say at this point. That's all I can say. But yeah, like I said, salute to all those in America first who ain't drinking the Kool-Aid. Real quick, shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Shout out to Tucker Carlson. Salute to the Hodge twins. Salute to Marge DeRay. Salute to Candace Owens. I know y'all gonna hate this, but yes, salute to Nick Fuentes. Salute to Myron Gaines. Salute to Jason Whitlock. Salute to Jake Shields. Salute to Joe Rogan. Salute to Steve Bannon. Okay. Salute to Dave Smith. All right. And anybody I missed out, man. Salute to everybody that's been holding this administration's feet to the fire when they are on some BS. Okay? The 2026 midterms are up next, and then the 2028 presidential election. If they want to keep the majority, and if they think they want to put J.D. Vance or any other conservative in office, they are going to have to go through us, because the Kool-Aid drinkers and the out-of-touch boomers are losing their influence by the hour. Pretty much all the heavy hitters who drove this election home for Trump in 2024 do not agree with a lot of the moves, especially when it comes to foreign policy. And with this Epstein thing, they do not agree with what the president is doing right now. So they're going to have to get that shit together. Right? And hopefully they do. Hopefully they get that shit together. But anyway, let's get to the main topic tonight. Let's get to the main topic. And it's an interesting topic because I've seen a ton of black folks who I respect hosting this shit like it's a flex. And in my humble opinion, it's anything but a flex. Okay? And that, of course, is the recent praise that Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott has been getting for the recent decline in homicides in the city of Baltimore. Okay? So, real quick, I want to go to the main post that's been circulating around. So, let's get to that. Let's get to this main post. It's right here. All right. So it says, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott invested in 42 summer youth camps. Can y'all see that? All right. There we go. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott invested in 42 summer youth camps, 29 literacy programs, extended the rec center hours to 11 p.m., planned block parties, opened pools for safe fun, and opened several schools up for summer classes. Crime is down 62%. All right, and then the guy who posted it on Twitter, he says, damn, it's like giving the kids something to do instead of criminalizing them works. All right, now this has been going viral. All right, and of course, I don't necessarily agree with this, But to be honest with you, and let me get this down. To be honest with you guys, I wasn't even going to touch this topic, right? I wasn't even going to touch this topic. And real quick, salute to my homie, Too Tall. Too Tall tagged me in this other post about Mayor Scott that really gave me the motivation to even discuss this topic, because I didn't realize how out of touch we are as a community when it comes to basic civics and just the fundamentals of a decent and functioning community. Now, respectfully to Too Tall, we disagree on this topic, of course, but I want to highlight the exchange we had on this particular post. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up that post and I'm gonna go to the exchange between me and him, and then we'll delve further into this topic. Okay, all right, give me a second, let me get to that. Boom. All right, so here's the post. All right, it says, no news outlets. Can y'all see that? All right. Says, no news outlets are talking about how these two black mayors have achieved record low homicide rates in their cities. Breaking news. Baltimore finishes the first half of 2025 with fewest homicides ever recorded. All right. And of course, this other guy is some mayor in, I think, somewhere in Alabama who got low homicide rates. Whatever. All right. So let's get to the exchange between me and Too Tall, or Spill God on IG. Also, check out his new podcast, the Road Runners Podcast. They got a good thing going on over there. Okay. So let's get into it. So he tags me, right? So I told him, I said, I'll be talking about this in my live stream tonight. This ain't a flex. And of course, I didn't do a live stream last night. I'm doing it tonight. But when he tagged me, he kind of got my, pause. Kind of got the juices going. Pause. I got that thug in love. So like I said, this ain't a flex. So then he responds. He says, this ain't for flexing. I don't know what constitutes a flex, but here is two black men doing things you said black Democrat leadership couldn't do. So I said, they are spending taxpayer dollars to raise other people's kids. It's not sustainable, and it doesn't fix the problem. Meanwhile, the city's still in a huge deficit. Unemployment is sky effing high. Majority of the kids are not on grade level in reading and math, and there are still thousands of abandoned houses and buildings, and homelessness is running rampant. So a few less people got murdered. That's like spiking the football because it's now 3rd and 25 instead of 2nd and 30. He responds, why isn't it? We have safety nets in this country for decades. What has changed all of a sudden? We've been raising people's kids. It's not right, but it's true. Everything you name predated these dudes. When they addressed any of it positively, you didn't give them credit. No, you undermined it, trying to discredit it. So then I responded. I said, you spike the football when you score a touchdown, and you do the Gatorade bath when you win a championship. That's all I'm getting at. I'm not throwing you a parade for a 5-yard gain on 2nd and 30. How did the bar get this low? So then he says, but what constitutes scoring a touchdown in this scenario? Like, it's all subjective. Many people will say the least amount of murders ever is exactly that. You don't, because he's black and Democrat. He would literally have to flip the city upside down before you credit him. That's true. So then I responded. It's not the least amount of murders ever, though. It's down 40% since 2022. It's a step in the right direction at best. But niggas not killing each other as much isn't a flex, simply because niggas shouldn't be doing it anyway. Would you celebrate a 40-year-old man finally getting a job? Would you celebrate an able-bodied adult paying their light bill? No, because it's just shit you are supposed to do. We look crazy AF celebrating this. Then he says, the 40% speaks to an entire year. No, it doesn't. It's half a year. It's the least amount of murders in the first half of the year ever. You the same one who said they couldn't do it. So before it was done, you said it couldn't happen. After it did, you're saying we shouldn't celebrate a score because the game ain't over. LMAO, you're hating. Then I said, when did I say that? Also, we only halfway through the year. He says, to be fair, you literally questioned Black Dem's ability to lead and get results. Yes, you did that. The year isn't over, certainly. So I said, technically, I guess these are results. Does this call for accolades and celebrations? We just look crazy celebrating such low expectations. All right? So that was the end of that exchange. All right? So there we have it. And my point remains, in my opinion, very, very solid in this exchange. Okay? The bar is so low that we are celebrating the fact that the mayor has to spend taxpayer dollars just to babysit these kids so they don't kill each other. There is literally no other community in this country who has this issue. And yes, while Mayor Scott has taken a valid step in treating the symptoms, he is nowhere near actually curing the disease. But we'll get into the curing of the disease in a few, all right? Because I wanna also highlight some of the other issues that I brought up here, okay? And that's that the city of Baltimore in no way, shape, or form should be celebrating anything. Because quite frankly, the city is still in shambles and Mayor Scott has no answer for that. As a matter of fact, I don't think he's not anywhere near having an answer for it. Anywhere near it. But anyway, let's go. Let's get to this first news clip, okay? This is on the Baltimore budget. The new budget for Baltimore. All right, bear with me. All right, here we go. Bam. Let's get it.
This afternoon, Mayor Brandon Scott, alongside city leaders, signed Baltimore City's budget for the next fiscal year. That plan was passed by the City Council last week and takes effect July 1st. Fox 45's Jeff Abel has the latest on the message from the mayor and the concerns some are raising over the budget.
There we go, Mr. President. It has been signed.
In a matter of seconds, the mayor signed off on the biggest budget Baltimore government has ever seen.
It's now official. Congratulations, everybody.
The city's new $4.6 billion budget is twice the size of the city's budget 20 years ago, when the population was more than 60,000 people greater.
$1 million 20 years ago is not $1 million today, right? I think most people have the common sense to understand that. And also that the costs have risen. We obviously are paying our employees, like our police officers, more. We obviously have more investment, right? If you look at Rec and Parks budget today, it is not what it used to be because we actually believe in Rec and Parks.
But when compared to other big city budgets, Baltimore's budget per capita is one of the largest in the country. Right now, Baltimore is spending more than $7,600 per resident. That's far more than the cities of Boston, Atlanta, Detroit, and Chicago, and more than the cities of Las Vegas and Los Angeles combined.
The city looks at spending as the goal. Well, it isn't.
This new budget will pump another $7 million into the mayor's own office and add another 13 new staff members. Right now, his 118-member staff rivals the size of the governor's office.
You might try to make this.
Do you hear this? The city of Baltimore is in an $85 million deficit. And the mayor wants to increase the budget of his personal office. He's adding, 13 staff members? For a total of $7 million more dollars added to the budget. And you call this leadership? You call this leadership? This man is the mayor of the small city of Baltimore, and his office is the same size as the governor's office. How are you the mayor of a city and you need a staff that rivals the size of the governor? It's not like you have the surplus to make these changes. You don't even have any money. You're operating in the red. You have to get a loan to get your budget approved. But within that loan, you're going to up your own staff unnecessarily? Okay.
It's about my office, but this is about making sure that Baltimore has the best and the brightest. And that team that we have built in the city has helped us get violence down to its lowest point in 50 years.
While the mayor's office grows, so do a string of fines and fees, which the city will increase to help close its $85 million deficit.
The city needs to be more serious about cutting spending and making sure that they have the resources to have these city agencies do their jobs and not ask for Baltimore City residents to pay one more dime in fees, taxes, or anything else.
Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Well, taxpayer advocates are not the only ones speaking about the budget. City Councilman Yitchi Schleifer says it's not the time to be increasing the financial burden on residents.
And there it is, people. Typical Democrat Marxist politics. Okay? The people who actually go to work, raise their children properly, and pay taxes are the first to be punished in order to supplement the city's socialist programs. And this is why these liberal cities are all in deficits. Baltimore is outspending Los Angeles. That's right. Los Angeles, per resident, they are outspending Los Angeles by double. Okay, and even through all of this irresponsible spending, there is no growth, except in the expansion of the mayor's office, adding $7 more million to a budget with an $85 million deficit. Okay, Baltimore is 60,000 residents fewer than they were 10 years ago, but are at twice the budget. How does this even make any sense? How does this make any sense? And their answer is to raise the cost of fees, tickets, and taxes on the hard-working citizens. That's their answer. But what do the citizens get out of it? You pay all these fees and all these taxes in the city of Baltimore, and you can't even get a decent school system. Let's get to that. Let's get to the school system.
Following a Fox 45 News investigation, Baltimore City Schools is now responding, touting what it sees as the accomplishments of CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises.
Yeah, but as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, at first, city schools refused to provide any accomplishments for their CEO, but that quickly changed after our report was published.
I'm tired of it.
Blanca Taparascu is not just the mother of a Baltimore City School student.
We're not buying it anymore.
She's a former City Schools employee.
Yes.
And former member of the Parent-Teacher Student Association at Mergenthaler High School, who believes city students are not receiving the education they deserve, despite what the district is now saying.
We're not buying the song.
So basically, the district is saying that the school system's doing one thing, but the reports aren't adding up. Let's get it.
That we are on an uprise.
I could not be happier.
Project Baltimore on Monday reported that Dr. Sonia Santelises had completed her 9th year as Baltimore City Public Schools CEO. For that report, we compared student achievement data from 2017, Dr. Santelises' first year as CEO, to 2024, and found many metrics, including attendance, SAT scores, dropout rates, chronic absenteeism, and federal test scores are worse now than when the CEO was first hired. But when we requested an interview with Dr. Santelises to discuss her main accomplishments, she declined. Her staff explained in a statement, it wouldn't feel right to start listing accomplishments while the mission continues.
Parents, teachers, and staff deserve to hear what actually is the truth. It's always going to be an oppositional because they do not want to be interviewed by someone who understands what the real issues are in this school system.
City Schools sent this email to Fox 45 News declining to list Dr. Santelises' accomplishments on Monday afternoon. Shortly after, that same day, we published our report on the topic. But then, hours after that, City Schools took to its website, posting this list of what it calls Dr. Santelises' accomplishments. The post, entitled Project Baltimore Again Amidst Context About Outcomes in City Schools, appears on the district's Setting the Record Straight webpage. In the post, City Schools touts how under Dr. Santelises, English language arts proficiency has increased 5 percentage points since 2022, and math proficiency has increased 1.4 percentage points since 2023. The post also mentions that chronic absenteeism has decreased 5.4 percentage points from last school year. The school system appears to be picking the data it wants to highlight. Project Baltimore's report on Monday compared the district's data from when Dr. Santelises started the job to the most recent data available. The district's post only compares the last few years, not the CEO's entire tenure.
They have failed thousands and tens of thousands of students, and they don't want to admit that.
City Schools also posted this information on social media as an advertisement, which generally means money was placed behind the ad to boost its reach. So Project Baltimore emailed City Schools asking, how much money in total did the district use to promote this information on all social media platforms? The district responded saying, it paid $100.
There are no such things as failure as students. They're not failures, but a system can fail a person.
As Dr. Santelises heads into her 10th year as school CEO, do you believe her claims that the school system is improving? We want to hear from you. Call our hotline, send me an email, follow us on social media.
Boom, and there we have it. There we have it, people. The schools are trying to sell you a dream. This woman has been in position for 10 years, and the only thing that she can brag about is like a 1.5% increase in attendance. BS stats. The kids can't read in Baltimore. The kids can't do math in Baltimore. They aren't graduating. They're not going to college. Their SAT scores are pathetically low. But you want to sit up here and tell me that Brandon Scott should be praised because niggas aren't killing each other as much as they normally do, even though they're still killing each other at an alarming rate. But because they're not killing each other at such an alarming rate, that's cause to spike the football. No way. No way. No way. And it's not just the school system that's corrupt like this. The mayor's office is also extremely corrupt. See, while y'all are so busy adoring this man for the murder rate, He's got real issues actually going on in his administration that that no one, and when I say no one, I mean black people, is paying attention to. And these issues are very concerning. All right. But things like ethics and a functioning government aren't that important in a majority black city. See, as long as you pacify the victim mentality and keep niggas under the illusion that everything is the white man's fault, you'll stay in office. Case in point, check this out.
Now, Ross's husband owns Fearless Solutions. That's a company contracted to complete a redesign of the official city website. A recent Inspector General's report shows the project has fallen more than a year behind schedule on a contract bid more than 3 times higher than its competitor. Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us live with how the website's cost compares to some other cities across America. Jeff.
You know, the city had expected its new website to be replacing this one months ago. But tonight, we're learning exactly how much the city may have overspent on an unfinished website.
Now, I know you guys are thinking, why is this important? Why are we talking about the city spending money on a website? Well, the city spent this money paying the deputy mayor's husband, who also donated to the current mayor. They gave him the contract, even though his bid was double what everyone else who bid for the contract was for. Meaning that instead of taking a lower bid for a company that wasn't associated with the mayor, which probably would have cost the city less money, which is important because they're in an $85 million deficit, they chose to go in-house and overpay the husband of the deputy mayor. That is literal corruption. But anyway, let's go.
The company which won the deal to redesign the city's website was not the lowest, but the highest bidder. The bid was 3 times more than the only other bidder.
Excuse me, 3 times more than the other bidders. Sorry, 3 times more.
And its owner, Delala DeRaza, who vowed to do the work for just more than $1 million, is the husband of Baltimore's deputy mayor, Letitia DeRaza, and a
So while he's spending up your tax dollars, babysitting Bebe's kids, he's also stealing the money and paying off his buddies. But you guys are spiking the football. Let's go.
A campaign contributor to Mayor Brandon Scott.
All those in favor, please say aye.
The city quickly approved the $1 million deal, but within months, DeRaza, who owns Fearless Solutions, returned to the city to request more than $1 million in additional funding. And the request was granted, pulling the price tag on the city's redesigned website to more than $2.2 million.
They paid this joker, the deputy mayor's husband, who was a campaign contributor to the mayor, they paid him $2.2 million to make a website. $2.2 million. First, they gave him $1 million. He blew through that and said, yo, I need $1 million more. And the city just signed off and approved it. This is the black excellence. This is the black leadership that you're telling me I'm supposed to be enthusiastic about. Because a couple of niggas didn't kill each other. I'm supposed to be enthusiastic about this. This is a joke. This is a joke, and this is why people look at the black community as a joke. This is not the way a functional government is supposed to operate. Granted, there is corruption on all levels of government. It's not just a black thing. But goddamn. I mean, this is just upfront, outright, blatant negligence. This is blatant negligence. But you guys are praising this, calling this black excellence, when all he's doing is blowing through taxpayer dollars. He's blowing through taxpayer dollars, and because every now and then he can give you a good speech on racism, you vote him back in. Let's go, man.
This all stems back to the connections that this company has with the mayor and the fact that they are a donor to the mayor. And that should never happen. First, it shouldn't cost millions of dollars. It should only cost thousands of dollars.
In fact, according to one of the leading designers of municipal websites, cities of more than 500,000 people should be spending between $300,000 and $1 million on a redesigned website. San Diego, which was recently named the top big city website in the country, spent $646,000 on its redesign.
The city should demand the $2.2 million back from the company, and this company should be banned for life for any more government contracts in Baltimore City.
A report issued by Baltimore's Inspector General last week cited the city for failing to open the project for competitive bidding.
That type of thing should be competitively bid and put out for as many groups as possible. Instead, what happened was the IT department actually sent directed letters out to 6 different companies. Of that, only 2 companies responded.
And today, $2.2 million later, how's that website look?
There is no website at this time.
That is literally all I needed to hear. $2.2 million paid to the deputy mayor's husband, a whopping $1.4 million more than what the city of San Diego spent. That is a bigger city with a better website, and there's still nothing. He got $2.2 million and did absolutely nothing. But this is black excellence. I mean, come on, man. We can clearly see that Baltimore is in no position to be celebrating anything. Okay? Obviously, the quality of life in that city is no better under this current administration. And the wasteful spending is at an all-time high. But hey, at least the Bebe's kids aren't killing each other, right? Wrong. Baltimore is still one of the most dangerous cities in the entire world. And this past 4th of July weekend proved that without a shadow of a doubt. There were 3 shootings on the 4th of July alone and a few other on the rest of the weekend. Now, speaking of 4th of July shenanigans, I want to get into this Indianapolis situation. Okay, we're gonna get into this, and then I believe we're gonna close the show out because we're coming up on 2 hours. All right, so let's get this article up from Indianapolis. All right, boom, and here we go. at least 30 people shot in Indy over holiday weekend. 5 didn't survive. 5 people are dead and 25 more are injured after a staggeringly violent 4th of July weekend in Indianapolis. It was 2025's most violent weekend by far, preceded by another record-setting amount of violence just the previous weekend. I'm not sure anymore what it's going to take for someone in our community to wake up, Indy Metro Police Department Chief Chris Bailey said after downtown shooting killed 2 teens in the early morning hours of July 5th. The city will assist in IMPD's active enforcement of a youth curfew downtown in response to a mass shooting that killed 2 teens. Mayor Joe Hogsett wrote on social media, under that law, a 16-year-old cannot be unaccompanied in public after 11 p.m. or before 5 a.m. on a weeknight. Now, let me stop right there. Why is this relevant? Because what's going on, or what went on in Indianapolis over the past weekend, is something that's going around in inner city or in cities everywhere that have a large black population. And what is going on? The kids are gathering in groups in downtown areas and acting a goddamn fool and pretty much overwhelming public safety. Okay, they're doing it in DC too. They were just down in Navy Yard last week, acting a fool. Hundreds of teens. They're robbing people, they're assaulting innocent people, and they're shooting and killing each other. So this is what's going on in Indianapolis, and it hit ahead on 4th of July weekend. All right, so let's continue. Here's what we know about the shootings that took place over the holiday weekend. July 4th at 5:20, police were called to the 3600 block of St. Thomas. Officers who arrived at the scene found the man shot. He was taken to a hospital in stable condition. 7:30 p.m., officers and park rangers were called to the 7700 block of Lafayette Road on the report of a person shot. When they arrived at that address, which is located in Eagle Creek Park, they found 2 men on the shoreline of a river with gunshot wounds. Both were taken to the hospital in critical condition and 1 man died. Okay. Azarion S. Cole, 15, and Xavion Jackson, 16, dead in mass shooting that injures 5 others. July 15th, 1:30 a.m. Why are your 15 and 16-year-old kids out at 1:30 a.m.? July 5th. IMPD was responding to a fight downtown at 1:30 a.m. when gunshots were heard near the intersection of West Market Street and North Illinois Street. When the police arrived on the scene, they found 6 people shot, several of them teenagers. Another person involved arrived at a local hospital. All right. A 16-year-old, Xavion Jackson, died at the scene, and 15-year-old Azarion S. Cole died after arriving at a hospital for treatment. 5 were treated for injuries in area hospitals. Other survivors, there were 3 adults and 2 were teens. 7 were detained for questioning and multiple guns were recovered, officers said. I don't know how many times I have to say it, Bailey said. We are not your children's keeper. Pitiful. Pitiful. But y'all want to sit up and tell me that the white man is out to get me. Crazy, right? So there's that, right? And what I'm gonna do real quick before we roll out, I want to show you guys the press conference from the police chief, because this conference, his words really hit home. Some people are trying to call him a racist, and other people are calling him a hero for telling the truth and saying what needs to be said. And to be honest, you can tell this man is fed up with the BS. And he ain't going to outright say it, but you know who the usual suspects are that he's talking about. Like I said, we're seeing it all across the country. Black kids are completely out of control, and it's going to get to the point where we might even witness a crime bill far worse than the one Biden drafted in 94. I think it's gonna be worse than the 94 crime bill. And to be honest, I'm pretty much all for it as long as it doesn't over penalize non-violent offenses. That was the problem with the 94 crime bill. They were putting niggas in jail for life for non-violent offenses. But yeah, these kids are completely out of control and their parents have failed them. Okay? And that's pretty much what the police chief is going to get into. All right, so let's do that real quick.
Violence, whether downtown or any of our neighborhoods, is completely unacceptable and unnecessary. Unnecessary. Thousands of people came downtown tonight, enjoyed the fireworks, and went home. Thousands more chose to come down here and all night cause trouble. I was down here until about 12:30 tonight. I worked with my officers, took the runs with them, dealt with the disturbances, dealt with the utter disrespect for our city, for our laws, and for law enforcement. Hundreds of unsupervised kids down here. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers. You are. And parents.
And that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame that the police chief has to come out in the middle of the night and explain this to niggas. It's a damn shame. We're going to get into that, though. I'm going to let them cook.
And guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight. And we just don't know the age of the young man down the street. Still here, dead. He looks young. It's unacceptable. The police department all night long went from place to place to place, trying to prevent these kind of things. And I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. You should be tired of it. This is not our job to do this. It is unnecessary. You don't have to act like this.
And I mean, you can hear the frustration in this man's voice, and you can also see it. You can also see it in his eyes. And this is going to bring me back to a point that I brought up earlier about Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, what I said was he's treating the symptoms and not the actual disease. Now, what is the disease? The disease is the government incentives that promote the destruction of the nuclear family by way of government subsidies to the serial baby mamas who are overwhelming the system with their sexually irresponsible, bad choices. I say, cut off all programs for non-mentally challenged, able-bodied adults and reroute those funds to people who actually need help for issues that are out of their control. Yeah, a generation might have to suffer and starve. But in my opinion, the ends will justify the means. I'd rather sacrifice a generation of lazy-ass people for the betterment of the community than to continue what we have going on right now. It's not sustainable, and it's wearing really thin on every other community tasked with footing the bill via the taxpayer dollars. So So something's got to give. Something's got to give. But anyways, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's been an hour and 50 minutes. And I think that's going to be all for tonight. Also, if you're watching on the playback, don't forget to comment in the comment section below. We'd like to hear your opinion, whether you agree, you disagree, or you're indifferent. Please comment below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. Okay? Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to tap that notification bell. Scroll down and select all. That way you get all of the notifications when we go live. I know a lot of people saying they don't get the notifications, probably because I'm shadow banned. You know, I be talking crazy on here. So a lot of times they ain't trying to hear what I got to say.
I'm not going to say what race, what people doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
But anyways, I want you guys to always remember, tripping ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. Peace out. Catch you on the next one.
Yes, I do.